considered that not all calories are created equally? In fact, have you ever considered that foods can either help your body or be harmful to your body? Today, we want to talk all about how not all calories are created equally, and we want to dive into some really practical examples of what that means on your weight loss journey today. And then at the end, we're going to share a few of our favorite snacks that because we all like to snack, right?
And just to let you know, we are on this like no sugar kick right now because it's so easy to get into the higher calorie processed foods that are harming our bodies.
Yeah, and it just slowly creeps up on you over time till all of a sudden you go like, man, I'm eating a lot of sugar these days. But you don't even really feel like you are because it's just in everything. It's in your drinks, it's in your snacks, it's in your dinner, it's in everything. And then you have dessert, and then it's like, boom, before you know it, you've had like 3 weeks worth of sugar in 1 hour. Hopefully not.
In fact, you should actually look at some of the labels that you have in your house. How much sugar is in your canned goods or in your packaged goods? Because you will be surprised if you haven't looked lately, you will be surprised at how much sugar. It's in everything.
It's wild.
That's why we have to get back to basics and start making our own food, because then we can do it without sugar.
Yeah. And as a very much side note, happy Canada Day to those of you that are watching with us in Canada. We're in Canada, and so it's always a special day today for us to get to celebrate our wonderful country.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if you don't know who we are, if you're new here, we're Ruth and Casey, a mother-daughter team, and we love to talk about healthy Christian living. We have an emphasis on weight loss. And so today we want to dive into not all calories are created equally. Some of the foods that we are taking into our body, this temple, actually harm this temple. And other foods are so beneficial. So let's dive in. What do we have first?
Yeah, well, in the description, I used the example, and this isn't exactly on our list, but I'm going to use this one anyways. Well, it is actually on our list. It's the first point, so yay me. Our first example that we want to talk about is a banana versus a can of Coke. Now, we have used this example so many times over the years because it's just, it's like mind-blowing when you think about it, right? A banana and a can of Coke both have roughly 130 calories, which really in the grand scheme of things isn't that many calories, right? It's not. That's a pretty low calorie thing to have.
But one is very beneficial for your body. And you might say, well, no, a banana isn't that beneficial. I've been told not to eat one.
Yeah.
Well, hang on there.
Because bananas are full of goodness. They've got folate, they've got potassium, they've got tons of other vitamins and minerals. They're naturally fat-free. They've got like a thick peel that keeps all of the bad stuff out. They're just wonderful.
God made them for you and I to enjoy.
They're a natural food in its natural form.
Which is a whole food.
Yeah. Think about how few natural, like in its natural form foods you actually eat in a day. Yeah. It's probably not very many.
And this is one of them. A banana is one of them. Now, think about the other item, because I'm not even going to call it food because it's not food. A can of soda or pop or Coke or whatever your go-to
iced tea.
Sugary drink is. Well, their iced tea in the States isn't sugary, but
well,
ours
they can get it sugary, I think.
Yeah, and ours is loaded with sugar in Canada. But whatever it is, whatever your go-to soda is, we're going to say Coke. It's loaded with chemicals. It's loaded with sugar. It's going to give you this huge blood sugar spike. And then your insulin has to kick in. And then the fat storage hormone starts. And everything it doesn't even fill you up. It makes you hungry. It causes your cravings.
Yeah, because how often do you just have a can of Coke? It's usually a can of Coke with a bag of chips or with a chocolate bar or with some other kind of junk food.
Or, whatever. Whereas this banana actually fuels your body. Yeah. Wow, what a difference.
So both things have the same amount of calories, but think about the difference in what they're doing for your body.
Like, if you're going to have a can of Coke once in a blue moon, I don't know how often blue moons are, but they're not very often. But that whole saying is once in a blue moon, like maybe once a month. That is once in a blue moon. Yeah. So how many times do you actually have a soda? Yeah. How many times do you have a sugary drink? Just think about that.
Yeah, because if soda or pop isn't your thing, think about how many sugary coffees you're having or frappuccinos or whatever the thing is, right? Like we're using a can of Coke, but some of those other things are even worse than a can of Coke.
That's right.
In terms of like the amount of sugar and calories and stuff. Like a frappuccino from Starbucks, I don't even remember.
We used to own a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And we used to sell so many sugar-laden drinks.
It's disgusting how much crap is in there. And
wow.
It's like, I mean, if you think about a can of Coke, I think it has, I want to say 25 roughly grams of sugar in a can of Coke.
I'll look it up while you talk.
And Frappuccino has like 70, I think. Like, if you think you're doing better because you're drinking a coffee, make sure you check it out because it might not be. Anyways, so think about the difference that those things do in your body. One does your body a world of good, one does your body a world of hurt. And we've got to start thinking about what we're consuming in terms of how it's helping us on our A, weight loss journey, and B, health. Because that can of Coke is doing absolutely no good for either of those goals, for your health or your weight loss journey. And okay, so I'm off. There's 39 grams of sugar in a 12-ounce Coca-Cola, but there's way more than that in a Frappuccino.
Yeah, way more.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say a 12-ounce can of Coke is not what you get when you go through the drive-through and order a supersize.
Yeah, and it's a whole liter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I know, because I used
that.
to drink a ton of Diet Coke.
Yeah.
And that's no good either.
Wow.
And so, yeah, like
But
you were just starting to say about the bananas. We get the comments so many times. You've probably heard our rant about bananas like a bazillion times already. But so many people.
My doctor told me I couldn't eat a banana. Maybe you're type 2 diabetic and they say, don't eat bananas, they're too full of sugar. Why don't they say don't drink pop?
Yeah, or don't eat the chocolate bar, or
Yeah.
cut back on the amount of sugar you're consuming. The banana is not your problem. I promise you that. If it's that scenario.
The banana did not make us overweight.
No.
Okay?
And the banana did not give you type 2 diabetes.
Yeah. So you can ask your doctor that and they will verify that. Yeah, like cut out all the processed crap, cut out the sugar, go to a nutritionist and they'll tell you, maybe if you are a type 2 diabetic, you can't eat a whole banana right now because maybe that does have more sugar than you're allowed or more carbs than you're allowed. But have a half a banana then.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not that caused the problem.
No, and I think like we've got to start asking questions, right?
Yeah.
If somebody tells you don't ever eat a banana, ask them why.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, can you explain to me why a banana is bad for me? And I think also, one more thing to that, if somebody tells you don't ever eat a banana, but they've never looked at what else you are consuming in a day, like what your nutrition or your diet, just in terms of what you're eating, looks like, that's a problem.
That is a real
If they
problem.
don't know what you are consuming and all they do is say don't eat a banana, then you need to find somebody who's going to actually help you create a nutritional plan that's going to be beneficial for your body, not somebody who says don't eat a banana.
That's right. And they might just say, what are you eating? And you say, you eat pretty healthy. Well, they're just going to take that at face value.
Yeah.
You might not even know that you eat healthy or unhealthy. You might think that if you're buying, I'm buying a lasagna from the store, I'm buying a pizza that's already done, I'm, buying, I don't even know, because we don't really buy those foods. But if you're buying foods that are already prepared, that's not that healthy.
Yeah. Well, and like
It
honestly,
can be. You have to read the ingredients.
yeah, we already said that we are working right now in our lives at cutting back on the sugar because it kind of crept up on us where all of a sudden we're like, man, we're consuming too much sugar, right?
Yeah.
And we have to be diligent about it. And it's easy
hard.
to just consume a whole pile of sugar without even knowing it. Like we teach this stuff and all of a sudden we kind of looked at each other and we were like, we got to kind of watch it. Like we got to pay attention again, right? We've got to pay attention and start saying, no, thanks, I'm going to have some water, or no, thanks, I'm going to have a plain coffee, or no, thanks, I'm going to have an apple.
Yeah.
Like
it's so easy to get caught off guard.
Yeah.
Very, very easy. And it just creeps in because that's what the enemy wants to happen to us and to you.
Yeah.
And so we just have to really look at what we're taking in. What are we fueling our body with? So sugary drinks versus whole foods is just a whole topic in itself. And we could do this whole video just on that.
But it's just such a great illustration, like the banana and the can of Coke, of how not all calories are created equally. And I think the next one that we have to illustrate for you is processed snacks versus nuts. And the thing I always think of when I think about processed snacks is like, they're not as popular, I don't think now, but they were a couple years ago. Those like 100-calorie snack packs. Like you could get the 100-calorie snack pack of Oreo cookies.
That's when everybody was counting calories.
Yeah. Or like 100-calorie snack pack of, Mr. Christie cookies, or 100-calorie snack pack of chips, or whatever the thing was. And it's like, okay, the thing that's good about that is that it's portion controlled.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good thing. However, if you are actually trying to do good for your body, those things are filled with ingredients that you can't even pronounce. You have no idea what they are. You can't pronounce the ingredients, neither can I for that matter. And they're not filling you up.
And not only that, they're so filled with chemicals and sugar that actually cause your body harm. And we think we're doing ourselves a favor.
Yeah. Versus having something like nuts. Right? And I mean, again, we have to make sure we portion control.
Yeah, because I can really overindulge in nuts. Yeah. I love any kind of nut.
Yeah, it's so easy just to you don't even know how much you've had.
And then grab another handful. And then grab another handful.
Yeah, and if they're sitting on the counter, like just in a dish, you're going to eat the whole thing in the day, okay? Yeah. So don't do that. Portion control it. But think about the benefits that your body is getting from the nuts versus that 100-calorie snack pack of crap.
That's right. So if you're here watching right now, what comes to your mind when you think of a processed snack? Mm-hmm. What is your go-to processed snack? For like you think about the cookies, and I'm going to say Casey and I are both, we really like salt. So a snack that is processed that we would go for would be like a bag of chips. Yeah. And there used to be 100-calorie, I think, bag of chips too, or the maybe not tiny ones, but the tiny ones. Yeah. And it's like, wow, well, that didn't do anything. It just made me want to have another couple of bags of those. And it didn't fuel my body. It just caused more cravings.
Yeah, it made me want more.
Yeah, and it didn't really help fuel me or give me any energy, or it didn't fill me up at all.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
What's your go-to snack?
Yeah, but we're going to tell you some of ours at the end.
Yeah, nuts is a great one. If you portion control, because it's a healthy fat, which is satiating, and it has a lot of goodness for our body. It's a whole food that God made. So we know it's going to fuel our body.
Yeah.
That's an awesome one.
It is.
So the next one on our list is like white bread versus whole grain bread, or white versus complex, I'm going to say. So some of the things when we want to cut out the sugar is to get rid of the white stuff, because white stuff in our body, like white bread, it just turns to sugar in our body instantly. On the glycemic index, which we're not going to talk a lot about, but it's like 100 on the glycemic index, which means that it's turning to sugar, like sugar that just causes our weight problem. Mm-hmm. So we need to start thinking about what we are putting into our body. Like if we go to a whole grain bread, we really like sprouted grain,
which is different than whole grain.
Yeah, whole grain is one thing. Sprouted grain we really like because it uses all of the seed of the whole grain. It uses the bran. I'm not going to say this right. I've got it written down here. The bran, the germ, and the endosperm, which is it starts to sprout. It's germinating, and that just gives it more nutrients, more vitamins, more energy for our bodies.
In fact, it almost starts to ferment.
Yeah.
And we know these days that fermented foods are so good for our gut. Yeah. It's way lower on the glycemic index.
Yeah. And so it doesn't just immediately turn into sugar. It actually fuels our body and gives us some nutrition.
Yeah.
Whereas the white stuff, wow, it just turns to sugar and causes that insulin spike, which is the cortisol, which is the fat storage hormone, and it just causes this endless cycle of causing our cravings.
Well, and I think a long time ago I shared this example, but I watched this video on YouTube a long time ago, and it's always kind of like stayed in my head as this visual. It showed somebody taking white flour mixed with water, like they just mixed white flour and water into a paste. Like we all know what that's like, right? It's just like a goopy paste. Then they mixed, I think it was a sprouted einkorn flour was the video I was watching, with water. So exactly the same amounts of both, like the same amount of flour and the same amount of water, the same amount of flour, the same amount of water. And then they took a sieve in the sink and they ran the water through the sieve. The white flour water mixture, it like gooped up and the water couldn't even get through. It did not dissolve at all. It just gooped up and like it actually, I think, wrecked the sieve.
Yeah.
The other one dissolved into almost nothing. There were like a tiny little bit of particles after the water ran through it.
That couldn't go through the sieve.
That couldn't go through the sieve, but very, very little.
But it wasn't gluey.
Not at all. Like the difference was insane.
In fact, you should go try this experiment just for yourself.
Yeah.
Go try it because you will be amazed.
Yeah. And so like that just illustrates, like if you think about eating that white flour and what that's doing in your gut, it can't, like your body can hardly process it because it's just like glue.
In fact, that's how they make paper mache. It's flour and water.
That's right. Yeah.
And it just holds this whole paper mache and it gets harder and harder and harder. Just think about that in your body.
Yeah.
In your intestines. It's no wonder we're making ourselves sick.
Yeah, no kidding. And so like you could just Google that or look it up on YouTube here too.
But I encourage you, take a quarter cup of white flour.
Yeah.
Most people have white flour in their house. And so try that. And then take a little bit of we like spelt, but einkorn or something different, a different flour, and see what the difference is.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
It's mind-boggling, actually. And you might say, whoa, why am I putting that into my body?
Yeah. And here's the thing with all of this. We're not saying you're never going to have the thing again. We're not saying you're never going to eat pizza with white flour or a cookie with white flour. Like you're going to have that again at some point. We know that because we have it sometimes too. But we've got to start thinking about how often is too often. And that actually kind of leads us into what our verse is today. It's from 1 Corinthians. Oops, I'm going to knock us over here if I'm not careful. Our verse today is 1 Corinthians, I think it's 6. No, I'm going to get it mixed up
there.
1 Corinthians 6, I was right. But I don't know what the verse is.
I don't know either.
6, verse 12. Everything is permissible for me, but not everything is beneficial. Everything is permissible for me, but I will not be mastered by anything. And I think that ending of that is just, like, the whole thing is so good when we think about what we're eating, but I will not be mastered by it. And many of us are being mastered by food.
Many of us are being mastered by sugar.
Yeah, and I want to say I was kind of on the verge of being mastered by sugar again. Because it was like, you know, it just happens so easily.
Yeah. It just creeps in.
Yeah.
And pretty soon you're opening, like even making a pot of chili. Like honestly, you look at the cans. Some beans have a lot of sugar in them. Some beans have no sugar. Some tomato paste or tomato sauces that you put into chili have no sugar. Some are laden with sugar.
Yeah.
So just even when you make your own good homemade food, you have to be careful. So if you're in a hurry going to the grocery store, you may go, oh, this looks good. I need beans. I need a tomato sauce. And you didn't check the label and boom, you get home and that thing is laden with sugar. That's how it creeps in.
Or then it creeps in, like for me, you know, sometimes I'll walk by the fridge and open it up and I have one bite of this or one bite of that and I don't think anything of it. And then I walk by again and I have one bite of this or one bite of that and I don't think about it. And so like the last few days specifically, we've been like really saying, no sugar today. Like I'm not having sugar today.
Yeah, we're cutting it out.
It's amazing how like dependent we get so quickly on that little fix, right? Like, you know, I've caught myself a few times walking by the fridge and I'm like, oh, nope, better walk away. But like, it just almost happens instinctively without having any thought behind it. And it takes so much thought to say no.
Right. So even check your peanut butter. Are you buying peanut butter that has sugar? Is sugar the second or the third on the ingredient list? Because if it is, that's way too much sugar.
Yeah.
If you're eating a lot of peanut butter. Like we love peanut butter. So anyway, let's go on to the next one.
Yeah.
High-fat processed foods versus something like avocados.
Yeah.
Now, high-fat processed foods, that's like going through the drive-thru and having anything fried, anything deep fried.
That one makes me sad because I love fries.
That's right. But it's deep fried in vegetable oil, which is so highly processed and it's so bad for our bodies. Like that's not Ruth and Casey saying that. You can see what all the doctors say about these bad oils. They just wreak havoc on our bodies. They're harmful. And yet we can snub our nose to an avocado, which is a God-given whole food, which satiates us. It's a really healthy fat, and it has so much benefit to our body.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is. So again, it's just another example of how not all calories are created equally, because an avocado has a lot of calories.
Yeah, it does.
Right? Like that's not a low calorie food, but it's a very healthy food for your body.
Yeah, it's going to fuel your body, and it's going to satiate you, which is going to help with your cravings.
Yeah.
It's not going to cause your cravings. It's going to help so that you don't have so many cravings.
Yeah.
What a difference.
Yeah. And so like I think sometimes it does get a bit confusing that way when we are trying to lose weight, because it's like you might think you don't want to eat an avocado because it has too many calories. And yet an avocado, it does so much good for your body. And yeah, you don't want to eat 3 avocados.
No.
Because that's too much. But like we've got some weird ideas about what foods to eat and what foods not to eat while we're trying to lose weight because of the number of calories, right? And same with the banana. We think, ooh, 130 calories on a banana, no thanks. But like our bodies need the things that are in the banana or in the avocado. And so like even in the description of the video, like we said, in order to lose weight, we have to be in a caloric deficit, which means that our body has to be burning more energy than we're consuming, than we're taking in. And yet, like, there's some magic that happens in our bodies when we're consuming good, real, whole foods, because our body knows how to use it. Like, our body knows how to use a banana as energy. Our body knows how to use an avocado as energy or as a fuel source. Our body doesn't really know how to use processed French fries as a fuel source. It's doing its best, but we can see the results of that through like the illnesses that are happening or through the obesity epidemic that's happening. And so like we have to think about, like, in some regard, we have to think about the calories we're consuming if we want to lose weight. And yet we don't really want to think about it if we're consuming good, healthy, whole foods that are helpful to our bodies.
That's right.
Because, you know, the last time that we've said so often, like the last time that you've binged on broccoli or the last time that you've wanted to eat 3 avocados probably was never.
No, in fact, I don't even want to eat a whole one.
Yeah.
Unless it's in guacamole.
I know, yeah. Then you have to be careful.
Then you have to be careful. You got to really portion control.
Yeah.
But put a quarter or even a half of an avocado on your salad. It's going to fuel your body and make you feel fuller.
Mm-hmm.
It will make you feel satisfied. And that's what it's all about. Making healthy choices that aren't harmful to your body.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. Okay, our last one that we've got today is refined carbs versus vegetables.
Yeah, so what does that mean? Refined carbs. That's foods like white pasta. Now, we all love pasta, right? We like spaghetti and meat sauce. We like lasagna. We like, well, Alfredo, yeah, that's a big one. Fettuccine Alfredo. Or there's so many different pasta dishes, and they're so tasty and delicious. But if you decide to make pasta at home, you can make such a better choice for yourself if you switch from white pasta just to like
even a brown rice pasta.
Brown rice pasta, yeah, it's really good. Or we like spelt pasta. Switching it from this white that turns to sugar instantly in your body, because all that pasta is 100 on the glycemic index. It just instantly turns to sugar. And then we put other sauces that are filled with sugar or cream or whatever on top of it. And we don't realize how we're hurting our body, because all it's doing is giving us all these insulin spikes, which is the cause of weight gain.
Yeah. And like, again, we love spaghetti too. We love lasagna too. We're not saying you're never going to eat it again, but what we are saying is we have to start thinking about it, and we have to start like finding ways to make it healthier for our bodies by like switching to a spelt pasta. And we often have women that are like, oh, but it doesn't taste the same and I don't like it. Well, get used to it. Right? Like, do you want to be sick or do you want your health back?
Do you want to lose weight or do you want to stay the same? That's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
We have to choose and make some hard decisions. We have to make hard choices.
Yeah.
Why? For our health's sake.
Yeah. It's not always fun. It's not always like, Yeah, the spaghetti and meat sauce that's made the way that you love it is up here at 100 if you're looking at like a one scale of 1 to 10 and it's a 10. And with the spelt pasta, it might be an 8.
It's still
It's still an
healthy and
8
good.
and it's way better for you. And before you know it,
Yep.
you're gonna start liking that one just as much.
Or better.
Yeah.
You're gonna like it more because your taste buds do change over time. They're not gonna change the first time you have the spelt spaghetti or whatever it is that you're changing to. But we know from experience, we used to eat the white and now we eat the whole grain or the spelt or the the brown rice.
Yeah.
And we love it. It actually tastes better to us now. So can you change your taste bud? Yes, you can.
You have to be willing to try.
That's the whole key right there. You have to be willing to be willing.
Yeah. Exactly. So things like that, the refined carbs versus vegetables. Vegetables still have calories, they still have carbs, but they do good things in your body. There's vitamins and minerals in those vegetables that you're eating.
And even with vegetables, like choose healthier vegetables that are lower in carbs. Like you can have, like you just said, you can have broccoli or cauliflower versus corn or peas, you know, and you might say, oh, I only like corn and peas. Well, if that's all you like, start to incorporate some of the other foods along with the ones that you like, and pretty soon you'll start to like them. You just got to be willing to learn to like them.
Yeah, exactly. And give something a try. If you absolutely can't stand it, well, try a different one. Like if you try broccoli and you gag all over it, well, don't try, like give yourself a break from the broccoli and try
zucchini.
Zucchini, or try cucumber, or try...
Because you just bought that for your little one to try.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
zucchini,
she's had it lots before.
Yeah, but zucchini is one of those ones that, you know, it doesn't have a lot of flavor. And if you put it into like a chili, because you can put zucchini in a chili, you won't even know it's there.
Yeah,
it'll
in
just
fact,
take on the flavor of the tomato sauce.
In fact, speaking of spaghetti, last time I made spaghetti, I grated a whole zucchini into the sauce. Nobody knew.
Exactly. You can do things to help yourself.
Like grate it finely and it'll just cook right down. Like you won't even know it's there.
No.
My husband had no idea. And he likes zucchini, but like when I told him, he was like, wow, really?
Yeah. It's amazing what you can do. You just got to be creative, come up with some new ways, and you can get healthier.
Yeah.
You can make better choices for your body.
Yeah, exactly.
For the sake of your health.
So we hope that those examples have helped illustrate for you a little bit that not all calories are created equally, because they're really not.
And remember, we're talking to ourselves here too, because this week especially, we are cutting out the sugar. And I'm going to say it's been a little bit challenging.
It has.
Because we like our Tim Hortons lattes with almond milk, but there's sugar in there.
Yeah.
And so we've been cutting them out.
Yeah. We don't have the sugar added to it. We say no sugar, but there's sugar in the almond milk that they use.
And at home, we don't have sweetened almond milk. We have unsweetened almond milk because you don't need the sugar. You can have a latte, an almond milk latte without sugar. And there are places in our city that use unsweetened.
Yeah.
But where
it's convenient for us to go.
Convenient, yes.
Yeah.
So we're talking to ourselves here, not just
Well, and even like, you know, if you have kids like I do that are at home that you're feeding, like I was giving Cheerios to one of my kids the other day, like plain Cheerios, and you know, there's lots that can be said about Cheerios. I know there's been lots of stuff in the news over the last few years about how it's got this or that or the other thing. But the plain Cheerios, like they don't have any sugar in them. And I thought to myself right away, she's almost 3, so she's little. She wanted Cheerios for a snack. And so I almost got out the sugar to put some sugar in there for her, because that's what I like, right? And I thought, why would I do that?
When she doesn't
know the difference.
Yeah, she likes it without sugar.
And
so why put sugar in there?
And she ate that whole bowl of Cheerios with no sugar. And so I just it's these weird ideas that we have from our own experiences that we have to think about it sometimes.
Oh, exactly.
So yeah. And then I think the thing for us is if I were to go eat that bowl of Cheerios, I have the expectation of it being sweet because I like sugar on it, but she doesn't have the expectation that those Cheerios are going to be sweet. So we have to somehow learn how to change our expectations about what we want it to taste like when it's things like that, because the Cheerios weren't made with sugar.
I know. It's crazy.
If you buy the Honey Nut Cheerios, well, that's a different story. But
yeah, they're filled with sugar.
Yeah.
So what kind of cereal are you having? In fact, cereal just reminds me of like breakfast cereals. Lots of them are high in sugar.
Terrible.
You know, what's that one that was on the news so much that you stopped buying? That granola.
Oh, the Quaker granola.
Yeah. Like it's filled with sugar. And they actually took it off the market for a while because
there was a recall.
Yeah, there was a recall on it. But all of these sugars, all of these breakfast cereals, you got to look at the label.
Well, and the thing about that one in particular, the ingredients were actually pretty good. Like they were real ingredients. It was like oats, almond slices, like it was real stuff that you could pronounce. But if you actually looked at the sugar content in it, for a quarter cup, it was like 25 grams of sugar or something. And I just went,
ridiculous.
Yeah, no.
You can make your own granola so easy. That's what I do. You just, put all your ingredients in a bowl, add a little bit of honey or maple syrup to it, because that's so much healthier sugar. But if you don't even have to do that, you need something though to bind it. But then you just bake it. And you can actually just put some raisins in it or whatever for your sweetness, or dates. Yeah. So there's so many different things we can do.
So we were going to share what a few of our favorite snacks are. Because again, we've been working this week on getting back to the basics ourselves too. Because I kind of looked at myself one day and I was like, when's the last time I had an apple? Like a long time ago, right?
Yeah, like because we go through these spurts. Like we go through so many apples. And it seems like we're always buying apples. And then all of a sudden we haven't had apples for a while.
Yeah.
Or bananas. Or blueberries.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Or strawberries is a really good one.
Yeah, that are kind of in season right now.
They're in season right now. But this week, in fact, it was yesterday, I was feeling like low on energy and I just didn't know what to have. And I thought, okay, I need something that's going to fuel my body because I want to go for a walk. So I took out some nuts. I had some pecans and some almonds and celery with peanut butter.
Celery with peanut butter is so good.
And my peanut butter has no sugar. I buy the no sugar peanut butter. And immediately I felt like I had energy. It was like, okay, I can go for a walk now.
Yeah.
It was incredible. And it was so tasty and delicious.
Yeah. So those are a few of our favorite snacks. Celery with peanut butter, apples with peanut butter. We already talked before about guacamole, but I love guacamole. And like, you don't want to have chips in guacamole, but you can have vegetables in guacamole, and it's so good.
It's very delicious.
Yeah.
In fact, you can also make your own. I make my own tortillas sometimes. And it's a very simple recipe. It's real oats and lentils. I soak those overnight, and then I puree them with a little bit of water. You have to strain it, and then add a little bit of water and a little bit of salt. And then I make my homemade tortillas out of that. And then what I do is I cut them up and I air fry them, and they're like chips for guacamole.
Yeah.
So healthy chips and guacamole.
Yeah, so good.
No sugar.
Yeah, and like make your own guacamole. It's so simple. Take an avocado and a red onion and some tomato and some lime juice, a little bit of salt. If you like cumin, a little tiny bit of cumin, boom.
Yeah, and have it with celery or carrots or peppers or anything.
Anything, yeah.
It's so good.
It's so good. So that's another one of our favorite snacks.
Another one that I do is sometimes I make homemade popcorn. Homemade popcorn rather than chips.
Yeah.
Because you can have, like in my popper, you can do no oil at all, and it's still good.
Yeah.
But I use a little bit of coconut oil and then just a bit of salt, and that's all it is, versus the unhealthy oils in chips.
Yeah.
And like a bag of chips, like you talk about, the potato sometimes. Like,
oh yeah.
What's your
a bag
of
chips, like just like a regular sized bag of Lay's potato chips or whatever potato chips. I think there's like roughly 5 to 7 potatoes in that bag of chips. But you and I could both sit down and eat the entire thing in one sitting and not feel full.
In fact, you're going to be hungry in the next half hour.
Yeah. And we can do that with no problem. We don't even have that sensation of being full, right? Like you might be tired of chips by then or of that flavor, but you're not going to feel probably very full after that.
Right.
If you tried to eat 5 to 7 boiled potatoes that haven't been processed in any other way but that, you would be sick. You
Yeah.
could not physically do that.
Yeah.
So that tells you how chemically altered those chips are to be able to consume that much in one sitting and still want to go eat more. Like that, it's actually gross if you think about it like that. If you think about sitting down to eat 5 full potatoes that have just been boiled, like with nothing else on them, like, ugh. I can't even hardly do one like that. I mean, I need some butter and some salt and pepper at least, right? Like I like potatoes, but not like that.
No.
And not in that quantity. And so yeah, like it's wild.
It is wild. And so there's so many things that we need to become aware of. There's so many things that we can do. Another example that you can just help yourself in, it's a very easy change or switch, is instead of a candy bar, have some really like some 70% dark chocolate. The difference just in changing it out like that alone is going to be so much more beneficial to your body, because dark chocolate actually has some antioxidants, some good things in it for your body.
Actually, I saw a recipe that I really want to try. Speaking about chocolate, and we've been talking about bananas and peanut butter. Bananas and peanut butter is another really delicious snack.
Yeah, it is. With chia seeds is even really good too.
But this recipe, you cut up a banana like into small little rounds and line it on a piece of parchment paper on a tray, and then you take peanut butter, like natural peanut butter without sugar, and you spread it all over it, and then you melt, you could do really dark chocolate, and you melt that and you put it on over top, and then sprinkle a little bit of like coarse sea salt over top and freeze it, and it's like a banana brittle. Yeah, except it's a healthy one.
A healthy one.
And I watched a reel about it, and like, oh my goodness, it looks so good.
Yeah.
Like I might make that today.
In fact, I did make that last week.
Yeah. So good. So like there's so many things you can do that taste good.
Yeah, we had company and I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do for our dessert. And it was just so delicious.
Yeah.
So yeah, do it for yourself. There's so many different things you can do to switch out, to make healthy choices for your health's sake.
Yeah. Well, and another couple of our favorite snacks that do have some sugar, but it's limited, are the energy balls that are in our 10-day WeighDown plan.
And we use honey.
Our granola bars.
Yeah.
Both of those are like, they're such healthier options.
That's right.
So,
and we know that like in our plan, we say that you can have around 25 to 30 grams of sugar per day. Mm-hmm. Right now, we're trying to cut it all out just to see how it is for us, because it makes us realize how dependent we are even on just 25 to 30 grams of sugar a day.
Well, and I'm not even trying to cut it all out like that. I'm still having fruit, which has quite a bit of sugar in it, right? Yeah. Like I'm still having apples, and I mean, bananas aren't my favorite fruit, so I don't tend to eat a ton of bananas, but strawberries, and like I've got watermelon at home right now because my kids love that. So I'm still having fruit.
And here's what I did. We went and bought some rhubarb yesterday. Now, you might not like rhubarb. Rhubarb is very sour. But we stewed the rhubarb and we added a little bit of monk sugar. And I did have a little bit of that yesterday.
Yeah.
Because monk sugar is a healthier option, and we're still under the 25 grams of sugar per day. But I have cut out sugar a couple days, and it's like, that's pretty tough.
It is.
It's really hard.
Even when you tend to eat healthy, it's still hard.
But we know we can do hard things. Mm-hmm. We can make it through a hard day. It's okay to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, because I'm uncomfortable right now. I'm hungry. I had a few nuts before I came, so I had enough energy to do this. And I'm going to go home and have an apple with peanut butter now. But like, I'm uncomfortable. So my stomach's growling, and I'm ready to go have something to eat. I've been up since 6 o'clock this morning, and it's 10 o'clock. So
so that's a little bit of intermittent fasting there too. But yes, we have to just really become aware. Like we talk about the ABCs of healthy eating, healthy living, and that's becoming aware is number one. Yeah. B is believing in yourself, and C is consistency. We have to do those things, and we can lose the weight.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what your name is, but wow, what a find. I've been thinking about my health in relation to faith lately, and here y'all are.
Well, thanks for joining us. Yeah. I'm glad you're here.
Glad you could make it.
Yeah.
And Cherie says, I cannot believe how much hidden sugar is in things that are not dessert. It's
mind-blowing.
Yeah. It's sad, actually, is what it is, because like it's unnecessary and it's making us sick.
Oh, wow. Cherie, way to go.
That's
I've been
amazing.
keeping to that less than 25 grams a day. It's crazy what sugars and things. Isn't that amazing? But you're doing it. You're doing well.
Yeah, so way to go for that.
So just so you know, that's not us who says you should only have that amount. That's like science, nutritionists. And so in our plan, that's what we do. So if you're looking for a plan that's a healthy plan that's going to help you learn to live a healthy lifestyle, we'd love you to check out our plan. It's the 10-day WeighDown Plan, and it's in the description.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, I feel like we should say we are in no way affiliated with Gwen Chamblin and the WeighDown Ministries.
Yeah.
In no way at all. Like, nothing to do with that. Our name is similar, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so many people ask us that question, and when we came up with our name, we had no idea about that, but we've been asked so many times about Gwen Chamblin.
Yeah. Well, ironically, it is funny that like hers started as ended as a disaster, but faith-based weight loss, and ours is faith-based weight loss with a very similar name. But really, that's the only similarity, is that the name is similar.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I think that we are encouraging you this week to try and make some healthier choices, make some switches. And even that alone is going to add to your health. It's going to be beneficial to your body, because it's like the Bible verse that we had says, not all things are beneficial, but all things are permissible. And so we know that we're never going to completely, well, we can if we want to, but most of us are still going to eat some of the foods that aren't always beneficial to our body. Like when you get invited out for dinner, you're not going to say, oh no, I'm not going to have any of that. No, that's when you're going to portion control.
Yeah.
But in our day-to-day living, we want to do the best for our bodies that we can, which means becoming aware and making some changes.
Yeah. Well, and I think to go along with that verse, like we talked about already, we're not to be mastered by anything. And so you got to ask yourself, and we have to ask ourselves, are we being mastered by food right now?
Are we being mastered by sugar?
Yeah. And I think for many of us, the answer is yes, if we're actually willing to take a hard look at it. And like, you know, if we believe that the Bible is the truth and it's the blueprint for best living for us, then we're not to be mastered by that, not even sugar. And so if it does have a hold over you like that, then it's time to surrender. Well, whether it does or it doesn't, it's time to surrender your relationship with food in your weight loss journey, because we know that we need the strength from God to get us through it, because it's a hard journey. That's and it's uncomfortable.
So challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to maybe just cut out some of the sugar and go to 25 to 30 grams of sugar per day. Or if you're brave enough, cut out the sugar completely for a day. Just see if you can do it.
Well, you can do it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but you're going to have to walk away from a lot of temptation. Yeah.
And you're going to have to check every label.
Yeah. Cherie says, thank you for what you are doing. It's helping me for sure to get consistent. The last week I practiced being a detective, and it was hard to see where I am the one not being consistent or self-aware.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah, because we have to take responsibility for our own health. Our health clinician or our physician, they're not going to do it for us.
No.
And I'm going to say, and this is, putting it out there, but we can't even trust everything that they tell us.
No.
Like, you can never eat a banana. Well, that's not true. We can eat bananas. Unless we're allergic to them. Yeah.
Like, maybe there is a good reason for you not to have a banana. Like, if you've got too much potassium in your body or something. Right. But that's a very different conversation than, like, then just don't eat a banana.
Sugar.
Yeah. Like, come on, people.
So we have to be our own detective. So well done, Cherie.
Yeah, exactly. That's just about going to get us on another rant. So we better wrap it up now. Wow, I needed to hear it that way today. No sugar yet today, and I will abstain. No chemical will have the grip on me. Only God should.
Oh.
Amen.
Okay, we're going to be praying that you make it through today.
Yes.
Because you can.
Yes, you can.
You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you.
Yeah.
And we can do it too.
And we're with you too, because like we've said a few times, I mean, I was kind of starting to feel like, wow, I'm being a little mastered by sugar here, because, every time I would walk by the fridge, it was like, oh, maybe I should have a chocolate chip. Maybe I should have this. Maybe I should go get myself another one of those lattes that has the sweetened almond milk in it. Maybe and it's just easy for it to happen. And so we have to be aware, and we have to be willing to do the hard things.
And because we're doing this, because we're doing this on YouTube, we really feel like our integrity has to be intact. Like, we need to walk the talk.
Yeah, and my pants were starting to feel a little tight, and I hate that feeling. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
But yeah, time to keep it on track, or get back on track, and away we go. Yeah. Well, thanks for being here. We're so glad that you caught us live. And
just so you know, we're on YouTube on Mondays and Thursdays, and it usually depends what time. Usually it's in the morning, depending on her little children. But just so you know, because you're new here, Casey has lost 150 pounds
by practicing the stuff that we teach on this channel
and using our plan.
Yeah.
So it works. We know that we're going to reap the rewards of health and weight loss when we start to fuel our body and cut out all that crap.
Exactly.
So until next time, treat your body like a temple,
not a trash can. See you Thursday.